Hello, everybody, and welcome to Battle Chads. I am Josh, and I'm here with my co-host Luis.
Hello, hello, hello.
And today we're going to do another sort of deck tech pioneer video, and we've got a special guest recommended to us from our Chad Magic team members, Gianmarco. Hails from Germany, Henrik. How are you
Hello,
doing?
everybody. I'm good. Nice to see you. It's a pleasure to be here. And it was a great opportunity to show some love to dwarves. And I'm
So
really excited to talk about it.
So this deck, post-ban, we'll talk about the Pioneer metagame just a little bit, but post-ban, this deck has had a massive win, namely because Vampires is now ceased to exist. You know, it's that Sorin, we're all team Edward or whatever it is. The Vampires are now in the grave, gone. So this deck was a massive win. Which is sort of deck you've been piloting recently. You did a massive win with this deck, even pre-ban. So it's even got even better today. So before we go into the deck tech, we'll talk about sort of how the Pioneer meta has shaped out, and the bans, Luis, have been very good for the format. Would you agree?
I fully agree. It's much healthier. It's much more fun. No more risk of just losing the game when you tap out at any moment. It's nice. It's a much better feeling. Also, I'm pretty sure Edward was the vampire. Just so you know. So would be team the other guy.
Well, I did see that whole like Twilight thing, like maybe one film of it, and I was sort of coerced to watch that film.
Yeah, I'm sure you were your number one fan over here. He was lining up to see it.
I don't even know the name. What's the name of the other guy? I don't even know.
Jacob?
Oh, yeah,
something like
he's
that.
there. Like he's there. Like, oh, I don't know because I'm not a Twilight fanboy. Of course you are.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Biggest Twilight fan. I love me some glittering vampires, me. Oh man.
So the meta looks really healthy. Like two of the highest sort of meta share decks got a massive ban. It's really opened up the way to sort of slower strategies as well as aggro. Aggro is now a real viable game plan in Pioneer because there's no big massive vampire stopping all the fun you can have,
or infinite life gain from Amalia,
or infinite life gain from Amalia because and the indiscriminate board wipe that it provides. So yeah, it's in a really good position, I think. And Henrik, your deck that you brought to us is sort of a it's an aggro deck with a bit of a combo-ish element to it. And it's very reminiscent of the old sort of vehicle Mad. I know it's not. I don't think there's any black in this, but there's a lot of. It feels like the old sort of Mardu vehicle strategies that we used to see when Pioneer first arrived. Would you agree?
Yeah. I didn't play that time Pioneer, but I saw just a video on YouTube where someone played Mardu vehicles. I think it was a challenger deck, right?
Yeah, back in standard.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, and the Challenger deck, it looked really like it. They didn't have Magda back then, but Typal and the Smuggler's Copter, it's just a nice plan for them.
So what we'll do is now we'll talk about like what the actual game plan of the deck. So if you just tell us what this deck is trying to do, what its game plan, and yeah, just what it's trying to achieve in the game of Magic.
And the number one question, of course, as well. Why do you have such a fetish for dwarves? What's going on here exactly?
Yeah, I play Magic for like 10 years now. And at the beginning, I always played with friends, combo and EDH Commander, and we had a little budget, so we agreed to everyone proxying every card. So everyone was going to be playing combo because you can play the most powerful cards and go off easily. And then because of that, I got a little bit into combo playing. And when I started back again with Magic for events and everything, I got into the game back when Kaltheim released. So I had the standard meta with Magda and everything, and I just really loved that card. It's a great card for combo players because everything is instant speed. You can interact with your dwarves, make treasures, go off big in Modern and in Commander. There's a huge infinite combo with Magda, and if you get 5 treasures, you win. So if you have an artifact dwarf on the field, Magda, and get 5 treasures, you win.
Brilliant.
So I love that card, and because I love that card, I just build decks in every format with her.
So Magda was a card that was released in Kaldheim, is that right?
Yeah.
Yep, and it reads other dwarves you control get +1/+0. Whenever a dwarf you control becomes tapped, create a treasure token. So you're going to create loads and loads of treasure tokens. But the big thing that you're talking about is you can sacrifice 5 treasures. You can search your library for an artifact or dragon card, put that card into the battlefield, and shuffle your library. And quite rightly, you said you can do this at instant speed. Now we're going to go through each card to the deck now, and there's some very, very spicy artifacts in this deck, I must admit. So we'll talk about the sort of creature package first. Typal.
Yeah, we just start with a big dwarf. It's a great payoff for late game. It's a huge lord, even for vehicles. So if you have a smuggler's copter on board and a Typal, it's a 4/4. You can block Phoenix, and just a 4/4 flyer is amazing.
Yeah.
And Typal, the good lord effects for both creature types that are really present in that deck are amazing. But the huge part of her is the second ability, where if you tap her, so dwarves are always about tapping.
Yeah.
And when you tap her, you can pay X and reveal the top cards of your library and put all dwarves and vehicles into your hand that you reveal. So if you
that's sick.
Yeah.
So such a card advantage.
It's not even a draw. So Shieldred, no problem. I just
wrecked.
draw 5 dwarves or vehicles and lose no life. That's amazing. And the thing is, if you are in late game and put a Typal down, if you have a tapper on board, you can put all your excess mana always in Typal. So Typal on the board, Smuggler's Copter, I do nothing, hold everything off for the enemy's turn, and if she does nothing, tap her, put every mana you have left into her, and maybe get 2 or 3 dwarfs or vehicles.
It definitely.
By tapping, you mean like crew a vehicle, pay the excess mana. Amazing, and that's what I really like it in sort of a combo deck. It's sort of not combo deck, it's sort of aggro deck. Is you usually find later on in the game when it goes down a bit, you have excess mana, you run out of gas, etc. But this really stops that from happening.
Yeah, it's very good for the play of the deck, isn't it? Because often enough, you don't want to attack with your lords, because the lords are the ones that you need to keep protected as they buff up everything else. You see it in a lot of the Typal decks that exist nowadays. And then given Boros the ability to play at instant speed, it's a pretty sick angle of attack that Boros doesn't often get. So this is it's really, really cool deck building for this kind of style of deck.
Yeah, that's a huge part because why I put so many dwarves or vehicles in the deck, because you have a huge potential to get many cards off of her.
So we've got Extraction Specialist, which is not a dwarf, but you highlighted on the pre-brief we did this, but it's a very important card. So do you want to talk about your inclusion with Extraction Specialist and why it's in there?
Yeah, Extraction Specialist is the only non-dwarf creature in that deck, just of Fable Goblin, but the Extraction Specialist is huge against aggro decks because the 3/2 lifelink, and you are willing to block with her every time, because if you block with her, the creature you animated can attack or block again. The huge part of her is the creature you get back can't attack or block, but it's no problem because you are trying to get a crew, maybe.
Yeah.
If you crew or the Magda triggers, you don't need her to attacking or blocking. You just crew or get a veteran Motorist back to scry again. And every good creature you have in that deck are 2 mana or less. Only Typal is not included, and Roaming Throne. But if you get a scry off or a new Magda, the new Magda is a really huge important part of that deck. You always have Magda on the board or can't protect her. Yeah.
Very cool flavor win as well. because it's
Spicy.
like the extraction specialist brings back the person, and then they're making a getaway with the vehicles. I don't know. I'm just saying, it's kind of cool.
Yeah. It's even from New Campana, the gangster theme.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we talked about. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, one last part is the Fable. Last tournament, I got a huge sport state, and yeah, Phoenix pre-board doesn't have a board wipe, so they really struggle against many creatures. And if you have Fable on the board flipped, you can always copy the extraction specialist and get something else back. That's huge.
That's amazing.
So we talked about Magda. This is the Brazen Outlaw, but there's another Magda, the Hoard Master, which is in here, which is a 2 of.
Yeah, the new Magda from Outlaws of Thunder Junction.
Yeah.
The thing is, you are really limited with your creatures because there are not many good dwarves. So yeah, many people recommend SRAM, but you don't play that many vehicles or auras that he can draw you that many cards. The most followed game plan of this deck is get 5 treasures.
Yeah.
And this dwarf is a dwarf you can tap for treasures. It's always good. But the second part is you can maybe get 1 or 2 treasures with Torture Tower on Unlicensed Hearse, who also targets the graveyard from the enemy.
That's right, yeah.
And if you get 4 treasures or 3 and your opponent removes your Magda, the Brazen Outlaw, you are sitting there with no payoff for the treasures, only to ramp, but yeah, ramp's not always good if you don't have that many cards in hand.
Mm-hmm.
But the Magda the Hoard Master can give you some more aggro options with the 4/4 dragon that's flying and have haste. And it doesn't sacrifice like many other tokens that
yeah, it's only 3 tokens, 3 treasures to get the 4/4 dragon creature token. And it has flying and haste, so it can really close out a game as well in clutch.
It's bigger than most of Phoenix's things, so it can fight them in the air. And with vampires gone, this is a fantastic time for this deck.
Yeah, so, I really hope to get on a new event soon and try the new list and maybe work on the sideboard a little bit against the new meta.
So we're going to attach the sort of list, the list that you've been working on, into the show notes so people can have a look at it as well. We're also going to, obviously today we're not going to be talking about the sideboard ins and out, but you're going to gracefully provide us with a sideboard guide that people can download for free, have a look, and then adapt their sideboard plan to the sort of plan that you've created. We're also going to attach a video of you doing of a feature match you were in where you did really well. And we're also going to attach an article that you wrote on that big win tournament that you had in Germany.
Yeah, it was written about him.
Yeah, it was written about me, but not from me.
Oh right, it was written about you. That's even better. That's like even.
From MTG Rocks, if any of the viewers are aware of their articles, it's pretty good. It's pretty cool.
So Roman Throne is a card that I've only really seen in sort of from like commander players utilizing. So Roman Throne, it's a 4-mana artifact creature. Tell us why it's in there, what does it do, etc.
Roaming Throne is a huge new include in the deck. I love that card. I also saw it in the most commander decks and didn't realize. I discussed with some friends, maybe a little bit expensive for the deck. But the thing is, you ramp with treasures, and if you get a Roaming Throne on, you can get him turn 3 in, really pretty often if you have him on in hand and Magda on the board. And it's another dwarf. If it's ETBing, you can choose a creature type, choose dwarf, and all dwarf effects trigger double. The huge part of it is 2-craft Exemplar. So yeah, there's a combo plan with Magda to get off 5 treasures and cheat in a big thing. But if you're going for the aggro plan and just Magda's Copter, 2-craft, beat down, you have the 2-craft trigger. It's the winning of combat. And it also gets doubled by Roaming Throne.
Yeah.
And Roaming Throne is also an artifact, so if you don't have a Magda's Copter or anything artifact like on the board, you just 2-craft Roaming Throne and he triggers double.
5/3, a 5/3,
5/3
sometimes with
for
first
1 mana.
strike. Oh my god,
Yeah.
that's disgusting.
And it's a 1 mana dwarf that gets 5/3 real quick and closes out games.
A 1 mana 5/3 is good value.
Yeah.
Eat your heart out, Goblin Guide. Jesus.
I just want to do a local shout out. So Alex, who plays in my local play group, he loves the card Roman Throne, and he's playing it or he tries to play it in sort of like Pioneer, and I think he had it in a standard deck, like a legend sort of like human standard deck, and he loves that card. So shout out to Alex, who might be very interested in this deck. I mean, I certainly am.
It's very cool.
Sick.
Yeah. And Roaming Throne, the thing is, with Magda, you'll get 2 treasures. That's important. And if you use treasures to put it early in the game, it's also a dwarf. And if you have a vehicle on the board, you can tap Roaming Throne for 2 treasures with Magda then. And War 2. If you look at the feature match, I won 1 game, or I didn't know if I won that game, but the opponent read the card, and saw the War 2, but tried to remove it anyway with not a 2 mana open. So a huge mistake.
Trigger.
Amazing.
Yeah, War 2 just gets them.
And sometimes there's a little bit, maybe you get 5 treasures and don't want the Embercleave or Portal to Phyrexia, or they are in the graveyard already moved or anything like that. You can pick a Roaming Throne. It's an artifact too.
Yep, it's a
And
big
then you have
4/4
a 4/4
beatdown.
beater. Yeah, and if you get him down in the enemy's turn, bam, 5/4 with the Magda buff in your turn that can attack with War 2.
I like it.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And then the last creature we'll come to is Veteran Motorist. All these cards when I first started early on in Magic and getting really into Standard and that, like, these cards were all in the format then.
This is the most draft chaffable card I've seen.
Yeah, the Veteran Motorist, and every dwarf in that deck, or 90% of the cards, always the enemies have to read. Yeah, that's... Some players say it's a huge advantage because the opponent doesn't know what I'm doing.
Oh, now I understand why you beat Marco so much. He doesn't know how to read. Okay. Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Get wrecked, Marco.
And the Veteran Motorist is another example for there are not many good dwarfs. It's a good dwarf, no excuse, but yeah, a 3/2, 3/1 for 2 mana in Pioneer. No one expects it, but thinks about it. Yeah, maybe. But the scry ability is amazing. You can scry is always good. You can choose the cards you draw in your next turns, and manipulate your top of the library. The top of your library to manipulate is a huge part of this deck, because if there's a Portal to Phyrexia or Embercleave, you don't want to draw it. Goes to the bottom, it's amazing. You don't draw it in the next games, or you shuffle only with Magda your deck, so it's on the bottom and you don't have to worry about drawing them.
Fair.
The next part of scrying is Typal. If you have a good board state and don't know what to draw, or you don't want to waste your mana, you have it, but it's better to scry and know what you are drawing next turn or in any of your triggers. So there's a trigger from Smuggler's Copter. You draw a card, you can manipulate it and know, okay, if I attack now, I draw a removal and can target the blocker and get through. Or with the Typal, you play the Motorist, scry 2, put a dwarf and a vehicle on top. Maybe you don't need them, but it's pre-draw. If you reveal a dwarf and vehicle, you can put them into your hand.
This deck,
So
like,
it's amazing.
It's so cool. It's just so
the
cool.
the vibe I get from this deck is that it really is like a very high power level, but it pays if you know what you're doing with it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't suppose anyone could just pick this deck up and be like, oh, I'm just gonna, like a typical aggro deck where you just curve out, attack, and see what happens. There's lots of intricacies within this deck that I really find quite skill intensive, that I should imagine, and really pays getting the reps in with this deck.
To me, this is like the Timmy dream deck. It looks like such a Timmy deck, but but like it plays and it beats down. That's so cool. I love it. I kind of want to build this now and just go play some dwarves.
Yeah, I hope many people do that. I just saw, if maybe you know him, Doomwake. It's a YouTuber who makes videos about Pioneer a lot.
Yeah.
And the last video I saw yesterday, he tried out Hardened Scales again in Pioneer. And the second game, he got paired again my deck. It was really my deck. And he got beaten by it.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Get wrecked.
And then we have some interesting choices in your interaction package as well.
Yeah, I have one last part about Veteran Motorist, the second ability to trigger and get your vehicles buffed. It's a huge part to get Smuggler's Copter above 3 life. For Phoenix, for anything in the air, you can block Phoenix, and yeah, it's amazing. And if you have a roaming throne, also gets double buffed. And if you Typal, the Smuggler's Copter can get really big. Yeah.
Brilliant. So we got some interaction that Luis was going on about. We've got 6 instants in this deck. So we got, first off is Get Lost, really great removal.
And what's the reasoning behind it, right? Like, why Get Lost over something like March or something that can hit the the artifact side of things as well? As artifacts are fairly big in Pioneer, there's quite a few good ones. What makes you not care about those and instead just focus on these types that are on Get Lost?
Get Lost is a new extension to the deck because I always struggled with hard removal. The Vein Ripper, if pre-ward, you can just try to run them down or get anything killed is really hard with that deck if you don't get the 5 treasures and can maybe cheat in a Portal of Phyrexia. But the Get Lost changed that. You only have 2 of them, but you go through your deck really quick. Scrying, drawing with the Pala, Fable, you draw many cards, and 2 off is an amazing number because some games you have it and or you are locked. Maybe you know of that 9 lives deck.
Yeah.
It's always struggling against enchantments, and if you have the opportunity to get an enchantment removal at any point, it's amazing. Because temporary lockdown shuts down your whole deck, and if you get top deck, Get Lost, and in the enemy's turn, blow off that temporary lockdown and have a huge attacking board the next round, it's amazing.
I used to love this when I was playing Standard with last season, and I was playing the Infect, sort of the Toxic deck. So sometimes temporary lockdown was almost like a protection spell for me. So the temporary lockdown, I was like, sure, in your end step, remove it, untap, kill you. It was almost like a protection spell for me. So it felt good sometimes. But you have to include cards like Get Lost for that to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the huge part about Get Lost in instant speed is if you have treasures on the board, the temporary lockdown just ruins them because they get away and you don't get them back. But on the trigger, on the ETB trigger of temporary lockdown, you can cast Get Lost, and maybe you always have, if you play with Magda and keep her on the board, you always have something to tap and get treasures. You are sneaking mana in any sort because you're tapped out and the opponent thinks, no problem. You tap your dwarves, get treasures, and Get Lost the temporary lockdown.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Now, Torch the Tower in this deck is very, very cool because you see copies of this in sort of Phoenix lists. But you don't really get to bargain it. But in this deck,
it's so easy.
You have so many ways to just bargain to get the full effect. So, Torch the Tower reads it deals 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Planeswalker's a good one to hit as well. I've seen the rise of Liliana of the Veil in Pioneer, so that's good to hit. If this spell was bargained, instead it deals 3 damage to that permanent, and you scry 1. So just by having these excess treasures, you can just you can just bargain one of the treasures away. This card like gets super pumped. Like scry 1 on top of an increased damage outlet is brilliant.
And the biggest thing for all the Phoenix players out there, if a permanent would dealt damage by Towards the Tower would die this turn, exile it instead. It is a huge answer to just whomping a Phoenix out of the sky and it never comes back.
Sending a Phoenix into the Nether Realm with a Nadu feels good.
Yeah, that's the reason I put it in. The first reason is Phoenix. I always struggled against the deck and didn't play Unlicensed Hearth mainboard at that point. And yeah, Torch the Tower, get him off. Amalia combo was a huge part of the meta, especially in MTG Arena. So if you have a Torch the Tower, exile it, it's amazing. And yeah, maybe you have a treasure and or can easily buff it, or the enemy is removing your copter. That's a huge part of the enemy shutdown of your deck. Kill the copter, but the Torture Tower can bargain your copter and you get a scry and deal more damage.
Amazing.
It's amazing.
It's just sick. Because I was looking at the list, the more and more I look at it, like, oh, it's just a bunch of little creatures. Yeah, Phoenix has enough removal. But then you just look at everything, you're like, no, Phoenix is screwed. What do? You just get everything gets blasted out of the sky. A giant 4/4 dragon shows up. A 4/4 Smuggler's Copter shows up. This feels awful.
Also, as well, like as a player playing against this deck, you're thinking, oh yeah, Dwarves, what a meme. And then you start doing stuff like fetching instant speed, pulse to Virexia. You're like, I have no idea what's going on anymore. Like, what is happening?
Yeah.
What is my life turned into? I'm getting beat by dwarves.
And then after this, we have all the payoffs, right? I know we've spoken about them a bit just in passing. The biggest two are Embercleave and Portal to Phyrexia. So we'll start off with Embercleave. What can you tell us about this card?
Embercleave is one of the includes from this year. I started off with Giganta as my companion and had some dragons, maybe Dragonlord Romoka because I struggled against aggro. But the Embercleave is a huge finish for the game. And it's a card you can play if you don't cheat it in. So you're already an aggro plan, and if you have treasures or get 4 or 2, maybe not the 5 treasures, but you have an Embercleave in hand, you can finish off games with that. And the cheat in is always an option because the enemy has no creatures, Portal Phyrexia just doesn't work here or isn't that efficient. You get an Embercleave, maybe finish the game. Yeah.
I'm glad to see that you're also a believer. I am a strong Giganta hater. I think that card is just worse than the 15th sideboard slot way too often to ever want to include it in anything, especially in aggressive decks. So I appreciate you having the Embercleave instead, and I love the card as well. Embercleave just beats face, and it's lovely.
Yep.
I love the card Embercleave. Like it doesn't see enough play. I don't think. I just love it. I think it's such a get 'em card. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I had a huge problem with it in standard. I always got wrecked by it. Yeah, mono red, and you think, okay, does he have Embercleave? Does he not? Okay, he has it. I lose. And the part where I started Pioneer at first, Gruul Aggro was a good example. So they also played Embercleave, and I get wrecked by it sometimes. So I just adapt and get one of them, put Embercleave in my own deck.
You got so tired of it that now you are the beat down Embercleave deck. And then we have the big one, the one that I know Josh loves a lot as well.
I was like, what is this doing in here?
Yeah, this card made the deck good the first time.
Portal to Phyrexia.
So, I started off with that deck like 4 years ago. I really worked on it every week. I tell you about it. I tried to get every RCQ and just loved playing it. It's always different, and the 4 years fly by really quick, and I loved it. And the first time, I think I know every dwarf, I know every big dragon, and every big artifact in the format. because I always looking for targets to animate or put on the battlefield with Magda. And the time Portofrexia came into Magic with Brothers 4, it's not that far away. It was amazing. It's a huge payoff, wins the games. The problem with most of the things is, cheat something in and win the game. The Portofrexia kills the whole board on the enemy side, and Control really struggles with that kind of card. Because it's a big artifact, they most likely have Get Lost, doesn't target artifacts, or have March, and March needs to be put on X9. And they don't get to X9 and fall to Phyrexia.
Portal to Phyrexia. I was like, what is this 9-mana artifact doing? And then you just pre-preview told me about cheating all, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. And all the scry. Sorry, just on all your scries and stuff as well, because one of the things you don't want to do is draw this card, right? So a lot of your scry outlets make sure that if you scry this and put it to the bottom of your deck, Pioneer being Pioneer, fetchless format, you know that card is securely in your deck for the time you need it.
Yeah. And if you mulligan, you're always looking, okay, I drew one of my payoffs. It's a free mulligan because you don't want that card anyways in your hand. So if you get to 6 card and even draw it again, you just put it under and it's there for the game. It's nice. You just profit of it.
Nice and easy. And then we have the 2 big vehicle payoffs. So we've spoken a lot about Smuggler's Copter already. You know, most people know what this card does these days. One of, if not the strongest vehicle that's been printed in Magic's history, I think. Especially in non-eternal formats, at least.
Mm-hmm.
What can you tell us about Smuggler's Copter and why you love it so much?
Yeah, Smuggler's Copter is a great example for the time this deck worked on. And Smuggler's Copter got unbanned. And some people, some streamers or popularities in the Magic community tried out Smuggler's Copter with the Dwarf Shell. I saw it and I loved it. Some people get on the track, but it didn't really get that long. So I just put it in my deck. I always put nice vehicles in my deck. I tried many of them, but Smuggler's Copter, it was banned for a reason. But I'm happy that it's unbanned now because it's just an amazing draw engine and vehicle to tap my creatures with.
It shows how... Sorry, go on.
The crew one is a huge part of vehicles because you always want vehicles that crew 2 or 1. Just like Bankbuster, many people recommend Bankbuster, but it's slow for an aggro matchup. And Crew 3 ruined me so many games that I just put that vehicle back in the box.
I think you have enough card advantage and enough grind aspects to not need that card, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, Smuggler's Copter, great card. I think Pioneer it can absorb that card very well now. I know when it banned it was a problem, but I think nowadays in the sort of Pioneer meta, I think Smuggler's Copter's found its place and can be absorbed, and the format can absorb it quite well.
Yeah.
And then we've got the last vehicle payoff in the main deck, Unlicensed Hearse.
Yeah, Unlicensed Hearse. Phoenix players hate it. If they see the Unlicensed Hearse main board, they're just, dude, what are you doing? Yeah. And it's another great example for the Crew 1 and Crew 2. It has Crew 2, it's perfect for the deck, and it's a late game finisher anyways. So it's a card you can for sure play in the main board because you can do fun things with it. You can tap your dwarves, what you always need, and get a really big Unlicensed Hearse later in the game. Or even with a new Magda, the Hoard Master, you can do crimes.
Yeah.
That just sounds so funny to say out loud. You can do crimes.
You can do crime.
Yeah. And that's why I love that card.
Fair enough. It's definitely one of the cards of all time for us Phoenix players. We hate seeing this thing. It is definitely a nuisance. But it's
and those poor Greasefang players.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You still exist. I forgot. Sorry. No, but very, very cool deck. I love the look of it. The lands obviously look very solid. You can tell exactly what they're for. The biggest one to talk about is obviously Mutavault, with it being a shapeshifter, so it also gets to be a dwarf, which is sick. I love that.
Yeah, Mutavault, it's amazing. Maybe if we talk about it right now, it's huge because it's a dwarf, then can tap on its own.
Yeah.
So it can produce mana, and you're always sitting there trying your aggro plan, and the enemy is putting a stop to it. So you have to get with something else. And if they play not much removal, maybe an example is Green Devotion. So they pump up their board, you can't really attack anymore, you don't have anything to do. You can always try to get a Magda in play and get some treasures to try to get up 5 and really start your engine. So Mutavault, crew, animated, use it for mana, you can make a treasure if you have excess mana. So maybe you have 4 mana and a Typal in hand. You can animate the Mutavault with the Magda on board for sure, because you don't want to tap Mutavault for mana if it's animated without a reason.
Yeah.
But you have 4 mana and you want to play a 3 mana spell and don't want to attack with Mutavault, you can animate it, use its mana, get a treasure, and then use the mana to cast another spell.
So you can really turbo out your hands there.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
That's amazing.
And I always do many things in the enemy's turn, so they don't expect that much. You can crew your vehicles, or maybe you have nothing to do and just animate Mutavault, tap it for mana, make a treasure. It's nice. You will get it maybe slow, but you get to it to the 5 treasures sometimes.
Fair. I like it. I like it. Most of the rest of the mana base is quite self-explanatory. For most people, I assume they've seen, just generic good mana, anti counterspell hate, and then a Ganjo and Sokenzan just doing their thing. Very cool, very well thought out land base as well.
Very
one
clean.
mountain, one plains. I like it. It's efficient. And then the last card overall that we can talk about is Fable of the Mirror Breaker. It's written, a very unknown card. I don't think it's been talked about very much. Honestly, I don't know why people don't play it more. It's crazy. What can you tell us about this card?
This card is the newest extension to that deck because, it's a good card, and I never had it in my collection, but a friend of mine just rented me this card to try out, and I tried it out on 2 or 3 events, and I just got back to him. Dude, I just need that card. It won me 2 or 3 games. It's amazing. Always because of the treasure from the Goblin. It's a nice addition to the treasure plan. And draw some cards, loot away. It's amazing. Fable. I don't have to talk about it really much. But the part of it to flip, you have many targets in that deck that are not legendary. You have great opportunities to get many, many things off of it. I just know a game where I won with a copy of a dragon from Magda the Hoard.
That's
You
amazing.
made a 4/4 dragon, made 1 mana, make another 4/4 dragon, get for 8 in the air.
Brilliant.
Amazing. Or the roaming throne, get the triggers of your dwarves trigger 3 times because you have 2 roaming throne on the board. Or get a extraction specialist copy and put some creatures back from your graveyard on the board. Just this edition, I don't know why I blocked that for so long, but it really paid off the last events for me.
So here's my question then. Do you think 2 is the correct amount? Or do you think there even 3 or 4 would be viable in the deck? You're dropping something like the 4th copy of Dapala because she's legendary, for something like the 3rd Fable. Obviously not Magda, the Brazen Outlaw. She is the mainstay, the whole reason to play the deck.
You need to see that card.
What do you think on that kind of play? Is it something that you'd still need to test out? Have you tested it and it wasn't so good? Or what do you think?
I'm still testing on the Fables, but I think 2 is a good number, especially against the 4 Depalas. it's not a dwarf or vehicle. So Typal is a huge part of that deck to get off value late game, to don't slow out if you have an aggro plan and the enemy puts on a board wipe. Most of the time you are stuck with aggro. You are, oh damn, what I'm doing now, or you have to play slow. But if you keep an Typal in hand, you're always on the good side because this deck is so packed with vehicles and dwarfs.
So you're saying the 2-pence dwarf is better than the 20 white card or whatever this card is now?
Sometimes, yes. Yeah. Because it pushes both plans, the aggro and the combo or treasure plan. And Fable only pushes one.
Fair.
Push only the treasure and combo plan, and yeah, it doesn't really do much for the aggro plan.
Fair enough.
That's fair. I like that. I like that reasoning. So we'll move on to the sideboard now. Like I said before, we're not going to talk about what we bring in, what we bring out for certain matchups, because you've quite kindly provided us with a free sideboard guide that we're going to attach to this pod, so people can download that or view it on the browser, whatever they want to do in their own time, and then make their own opinions on that. But yeah, so let's talk about the sideboard options. So starting at the top, we've got Destroy Evil.
Yeah, Destroy Evil. Many of you know it. It's a nice removal for creatures, but the most part of it is destroy an enchantment in instant speed. You get off quite of your plan with Temporary Lockdown. Temporary Lockdown is such a hate card for this deck because you are also losing your treasures. Maybe you try to get off 3 to 4 turns, do 1 treasure, do next turn 1 treasure. It's a pretty lockdown. But yeah, you lose them all if you kill it, and maybe in your turn you can remove it. But if you use 2 treasures that you would lose anyway to remove the temporary lockdown on the ETB trigger, you don't lose anything. And that's the reason why I love instant speed enchantment removal.
Yeah.
And sometimes you might even get something back, right? If you have the Magda the Hoard Master out, you get a treasure back for committing a crime. Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Invasion is a deck that I've explored because I played Spirits quite a lot in Pioneer, and Invasion is a card that I really liked in that shell. So what's your sort of reason for including it in the sideboard?
Yeah, good old Invasion of Copacabana. I love it.
Yeah, maybe for Louis again. For Louis again, it's a crime. You don't see it on the first, but if it comes into play, you choose an opponent to look at his hand. So you make a crime with Magda. It came off sometimes, but it's not the main reason. The main reason is you can so easily flip that card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a Smuggler's Copter for 3 in the air. Amazing. Just put a Copter on turn 2, turn 3 Invasion, and maybe something else, and through the Copter, go for 3, and you have a safe option to always protect your other dwarves, or the main part is protect your Magda, because the enemy's trying always to get that card off the board, and it's a late game option to win the game.
And it slows down their removal, right?
Yeah, for sure.
The wraths and all that.
And we've seen an increase in sort of the combo deck.
Lotus Field?
Lotus Field.
The combo deck this time.
The combo deck.
Why do we keep you around, Josh? What's going on with you?
So Evasion helps sort of that, slow down that nastiness, take a bit of like a tutor effect out the hand for the lands or whatever, slows it down that, and even if you slow them down by that turn, this deck can really get away with the game. I reckon. Invasion is really good, a really good pick for this sort of meta. I believe.
So aggressive when flipped as well. It's really, really cool.
Oh mate, it snowballs. Like, cause I played this card in Spirits, and if you flip this, it just absolutely snowballs. Like snowball. If you got a deck with Lords as well, it's mental. Like you'll be hitting for like 4, 5, 6 power creatures very, very quickly.
Yeah, and you have some great targets for it. You have a mainland, Mucha Vault, or the vehicles that get off the board really easily. But if they get counters, they are protected in the enemy's turn. And get real big, real fast.
Knockout Blow is a card that I've really liked. I've played this in Standard. I really like it in this sort of like higher aggro sort of deck. Red Green got a nice card recently. I think the green level up card. I forget what it's called. I'm sure Luis knows the name of it. But he says so. You see a lot of sort of red aggro decks coming into the format now. So knockout blow is really good there.
Yeah, it's amazing. White removal. You play white, you can utilize it. So knockout blow. My deck's always struggling against go white or an aggro deck that's even faster than me. And yeah, red or Boros is a huge part of that meta because of Slickshot or Boros Heroic is
Yeah.
always a huge part of that meta. Yeah, knockout blow. It's amazing.
Perfect
Get
for
life,
that.
and for one white mana, you can remove one of the big things. Like Slickshot, they pump it. Yeah, Torture Tower doesn't hit because you get the Monstrous Rage, but you
Yeah.
deal 4 with knockout blow.
Nice.
And the 2 life gain is like, it's not much, but it can definitely help.
Yeah.
In a game of
Mage
small
Bane-
increments, it's very good.
Yeah. Mage Bane Lizard is a card I really like.
Mage Bane Lizard has a nice story to it because I got on a RCQ. I had it prepared. Maybe it was the week after I was on a sealed event, and I just saw that card. And in that time, I struggled against Phoenix a lot, and Mage Bane Lizard. I saw that card, and some people in red aggro tried it out against. Yeah, I am also a aggro deck with red, so it's amazing. You can lock down the Phoenix player to try to find an lightning axe or use a big removal on a tiny lizard and push your aggro plan to deal them some damage.
As if
And
this
on
deck had a bad matchup to Phoenix. 4 Twitch to unlicensed players.
not even more.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay.
And on that day, on the Mage Bane Lizard, I went on that sealed event and asked everybody, "Do you have that card? I need it. Maybe do you have it?" And I got 4 copies of it. 2 for
Jesus.
me and 2 for a friend. Was nice.
You're a bad person. That's what you are.
and it's great against Lotus as well. Do you know what I mean? You slam this against
Yeah.
Lotus, and like
Yeah.
they have to really fight because they have to dig for usually their specific removal against against opponent's hate pieces, and them digging it is just going to cause them incremental damage. It's great.
Yes.
Portable Hole, basically fatal push in white.
Yeah. Yeah, it's another great example for the aggro hate. I just struggle so much against this kind of decks. So Portable Hole is amazing against humans or yeah, any kind of fast deck that tries to put on little creatures that attack all the time. This card is also good in the deck because we have a little bit of synergy with artifacts.
Yeah.
So the time didn't come up one any time, but you can tutor it with Magda. It's not a big target, but maybe someday there will be a chance if this is useful to get off your deck with 5 treasures.
I mean, someone might try to attack you with a 4/4 dragon with haste, and you can instant speed remove it with a sorcery speed artifact.
Yes. And another part is 2 craft exemplar. One of the aggro dwarves, he gets off big if you have artifacts. So if you play a 2 craft exemplar and then the portable hole, you have good removal and a 3/2 attacker.
Delicious.
Then we have
so-
Redain. I think it is, right? Redain. God of the Worthy.
Yeah. Raidan, I saw the card in many lists. It's an include for Raktar Sacrifice. Raktar Sacrifice struggles against the backside of this card. They don't get the damage from Mayhem Devil or the pings, and every target they have to pay. It's amazing, but Raidan is a good aggro plan option because it's a 2/3 flyer, and it shuts down the most removal. If you play it on curve and the opponent has on 4 mana the first maybe Supreme Verdict or something,
Yeah.
you can put that down and they have to pay 6 mana for the removal. Or Sunfall pays 7, so it helps to slow the enemy down and push more of your aggro plan.
I guess it's good against the sort of green decks as well. You know, the green sort of stompy decks that you see now ever since the Karn banning. Yeah, so I guess it helped there. I know they can create a lot of mana, but it sort of can slow them down on the sort of later game. You know, the two mana might be relevant there.
Yep. And Bring to Light. They
Bring to
have
light
to
as well,
pay
yeah.
7 as well. It's only a one-off, but always I play her, I put her in my deck, and I draw her. I'm always happy. It's a good creature and slows down the enemy to
Yeah.
maybe close out the game in time.
And as if we needed more Phoenix hate, we have Rending Volley and 2 more unlicensed Hearse. This guy just hates Phoenix. What's wrong with you?
Everyone hates Phoenix, Luis. Phoenix is not fun. Okay.
Phoenix is a huge part of the meta, always and everywhere. I went to MagicCon Amsterdam and played there some Pioneer, and I tell you, 5 games, 3 of them Phoenix. And the big tournament I won with that deck, where the MTG Rocks article is from, I played 6-0, and 4 of that games I won against Phoenix.
Get wrecked.
I get top 8 paired against a Phoenix player.
Just leave my disco turkeys alone, man.
Yeah, it's always there. So Phoenix is such a big, maybe now after the bans, maybe even more big part of the meta.
Yeah, and this is a great answer to a Thing in the Ice, which I'm sure can give you a bit of trouble.
Yeah, for sure. And Portable Hole is also a good target for Phoenix, because you can, if they play Proft, some players play Proft now. I think it's an amazing card. I try to build decks on my own with it. But Portable Hole can remove without damage. So there's a Ledger Shredder that gets out of range of your removal easily. So you can Portable Hole the Ledger Shredder or maybe the Proft. Yeah, just a good target. And Running Volley also. Running Volley, yeah, maybe sometimes I put it in against Phoenix, but only if they don't play Proft. Because you can shut down Ledger Shredder, but not all the time. So if they connive 2 times, they're out of range. Or, yeah, the little fairy you can put down. But after the sideboard, maybe they put in a Crackling Drake. It's also 4 life and it's blue. So it's another amazing target for that card. And yeah, Running Volley was really good against Amalia and Mono White Humans. Yeah.
So what you're telling me is my game plan against you should be red creatures like Young Pyromancer and just making 1,000 tokens. Got it.
Don't tell him. Don't tell him. He will use that against you. Tell this guy nothing. Dirty disco turkey player. So that was a sort of deck breakdown we've done. Like I said, I'll say it again. We're going to attach sideboard guide, so we're not going to go into the ins and outs. We're going to have a little section about tips and tricks, but I'm quite satisfied that we talked about the tips and tricks as we went
in the
along.
middle of it. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, so we won't go on that there, but I do want to talk about, before we finish off the pod, decks you do want to see. I know you need a Phoenix. You've been smashing them, so we don't need to talk about that if you don't want to. Decks you do want to see and decks you just don't want to see. Like what is a bad deck for this to come against?
Bad decks, to come back on the Young Pyromancer, it's aggro decks that are faster or decks that go wide.
All hail Young Pyromancer.
If they get above 3 creatures, it's hard to remove with Portal Phyrexia. So, yeah, creature decks that play not that many, like, Humans is a great example I struggle against. But also, aggro, but not, sometimes against Heroic, it's always good they don't play that many creatures. Because you can sneak in a Portal Phyrexia, hold on 5 treasures, you try to block, and they have many pump spells. They overextend too much, put everything on that one creature, and you cheat in a Portal Phyrexia. You have to sacrifice it. Not even can protect it on any kind, and it's lost. And they most likely scoop it up after that.
Nice, I like that. How about your combo matchups? How do you feel against things like Lotus Field or well, I guess Amalia is dead now, but you know what do they feel like?
Amalia was okay because I have the Torture Tower, The Rending Wally was nice always. But yeah, if they go off the plan too fast, so turn 3 combo really hard, but you always have the options to cheat in something. You have Mucha Walls or vehicles that can go around the board wipe thing, but yeah, the Portofrexia is always good counter against Amalia too, but they play Etherflux Reservoir, and yeah, it's always a hard matchup.
We don't need to talk about this horrible deck. Like
Yeah,
it's
gone.
it's in,
I'm happy.
it's in the Dagobah system now. Like, let's see ya, bye.
Yeah. But another deck, Lotus Field, you talked about, I always had 2 Damping Sphere in the deck because I also can cheat it out with Magda. So if you put in any artifact or dragon hate pieces from your sideboard, you can always be on that plan to have 5 treasures and in response put a hate piece on board.
It does make me laugh that we're calling it cheating out when we're spending 5 mana to get a 2 mana card out of your deck.
See, so we're getting scammed out of that
there. Yeah, but I never played against Lotus Field. I always had 2 Damping Sphere in main in the sideboard, but yeah, some friends told me put them out and maybe you get paired against Lotus Field, but I never had the chance to try out. But I think it's a good matchup. I have Magebane Lizard, I can put in Invasion, and I'm really fast.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. What about something like the old guard that's come back into town? Good old Rakdos Sacrifice.
Yeah, a good friend of mine plays it, so I have many experience against it. But it's always really hard. They have such a good creature removal. Claim the Firstborn hits every creature from me without Typal or Roaming Throne, but yeah, it's not that often that they are on the board for long. But Claim the Firstborn hits me hard. Fatal Push always hard. Rakdos is good against creatures.
And then there's Mayhem Devil.
Yeah, and Mayhem Devil. Mayhem Devil is such a hard card.
Nice treasures, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard you want to sacrifice treasures. Go ahead, bro. I'll join you, bro. No worries.
Yeah, here, tutor something out. 5 treasures. Okay, here, 5 damage for everything on your board. Ah, damn.
Yep.
Can't get off.
Brilliant.
I have that.
So, is there anything else you'd like to add on good matchup, bad matchups before we move on to sort of finishing the pod?
I think, Phoenix, we talked about it. It's hard focused against it because I play against it so much, really. I think 80% of my Pioneer lifetime is against Phoenix.
How about Control? Blue-White.
Blue-White, yeah, it's always a fun matchup because I have Typal. Typal in the UV control matchup is amazing. So you play a slower game, you wait for the Get Lost or the Destroy Evil in hand to don't get wrecked by a temporary lockdown.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that option, you play it slow and you just make treasures over time. And sometimes later you go off with Magda or put a Typal on board. Don't have many cards in hand, but a vehicle to tap her. Put everything you have, every mana, into her and draw your hand back up.
Fair enough.
It's amazing. Yeah.
What about Bring to Light?
Bring to Light. I have many friends that play that deck, and I really like that matchup too, because they need turn 5 most of the time.
Yeah.
So some decks play Temporary Lockdown, they play Leyline Binding. Yeah, Leyline Binding, Get Lost, and Destroy Evil is always a good target. Invasion of Govakan always wrecks them. So they want to go off on turn 5, you play an Invasion of Govakan. Yeah, you can go off turn 7. Play Redan, okay, you can go off turn 9.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And then rush them down.
And then the last one, I know Marco will be happy to hear about this one. Rakdos Transmogrify.
Yeah, this is a difficult because Rakdos is always hard. They have removal and against combo. Yeah, my deck's not a full combo deck, but if you keep it, you'd always try to find a Magda and keep it in your hand. If you have an opening hand with her, it's a whole different game. so much faster and have potential to close out games really fast. If the Thoughtseize your Magda out, it's horrible. A Fatal Push removes everything from my deck, and it's pretty hard. And I also played against Marco on some top 8s or top 8 chance for top 8 and got paired against Marco. It was a hard one, but had fun for it because you have little removals, Torch the Tower, can always try to sneak in a Transmogrify, but Marco is an amazing player on his Transmogrify deck, so he just waits for the turn before
Don't tell him that, I'll go to his head.
Yeah, waits the turn for his Transmogrify, plays a Thoughtseize. Okay, I kept one Torch the Tower, gets rid of it, and goes off in his turn.
Imagine if he could read, how much better of a player he would be.
So, Rakdos Transmogrify, always fun. I have so fun against most of the decks. Just the decks that got banned today, not today, this week, were a huge pain because they get off so easily and are hard to struggle against. Yeah, Amalia, you always have to keep up removal, or Vein Ripper always have to hope they don't have the turn 3, and every other deck is quite fun. So
Fair enough.
I just like this deck. It's amazing against most of the meta. Yeah, Agro gets back today, and we see the next events. I hope it doesn't get a huge part of the meta again. But always, if there are bans, you know it, try Agro.
We can hope for some nice dwarves in Duskmorn as well for you.
I always look for dwarves. I see every deck, every set reveal, looking for dwarves or anything I can put in this deck. Last set Bloombro, we got some shapeshifters, but yeah, they're not that amazing. I hope for something better. The one card I saw in the previews was the, don't know the name. What was it?
What does it do?
The Emperor, I think. Emperor in creature form, or was it? It's a Convoke card. I always tried, maybe there's someday you can Convoke in this deck, because Convoke taps your dwarves and makes treasures.
Yeah, that's amazing. Fair. That's fair.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I tried Stoke the Flames, cards like that. Yeah, huge part you need in that deck. Tap your dwarves. And the new card from Duskmorn, I don't really know it. Maybe you can find it real quick. It's a white card, I think 4 or 5 mana with Convoke, creature with Flash, and all creatures that are tapped have hexproof.
Oh.
So you can Convoke it in, flash the creature, and protect your stuff.
Let's see if I can find it. It is.
Oh, the Wandering Rescuer.
Wandering Rescuer, that can be, yeah. It was something like the Wandering Emperor in creature form. Yeah.
Yeah, so the Wandering Rescuer, it's 3 and 2 white with Flash, Convoke, double strike. Other tap creatures you control have hexproof, so you can tap all your creatures you want to protect, play this, and then this was the only one that the only creature that would die.
Human Samurai Noble, not a dwarf. Come on.
Not a dwarf. That's true. But
that's cool.
I really like I really like Wizard for
card is badass.
Putting. Yeah, its double strike beatdown is amazing. So maybe I give it a try. The good part of this deck is it's full on Magic Arena, and you can test out everything.
I like it. That's really, really cool. It's not like some other decks that are missing cards that are the only missing cards in the entire deck. Temporal Trespass. But you know, it's nice. I like it, and really cool deck. Really nice to see something different. I'm sure people that hate the meta decks will be happy to see something like dwarves around and trying it out. And I know the biggest question the viewers probably have at this point is, so why do you have such a dwarf fetish? How long have you known? and
is it worse to have a dwarf fetish, or is it worse to have an amphibian fetish? Because that's the sort of thing that I'm battling with right now. Like, do I play more dwarves or do I play more frogs in Modern? Well, listen, really appreciate you coming on to this pod, and thank you for this in-depth sort of look into this strategy that I think is probably one of the most underrated, most powerful strategies you can do in Pioneer at the moment.
Very unique as well.
Very unique and very skill intensive, skill challenging. It really rewards you to know the deck, and this sort of deck with how intricate it is can really put the opponent off. Like, oh my, what's he doing? Like, I don't know what's happening right now. What is my life? There's a 9-mana artifact he just cheated in. Like, what's going on? But yes. So where can people find you on do you use Twitter? Where do people find you on Twitter, socials, etc.?
I'm an old school on that part. I don't have that many social media. I have Instagram, but I just use Instagram for events and some information, because most of the stores in Magic, they share their things on Instagram. So I following no one on Instagram. I just use it for information. I don't have Twitter. I deleted Facebook, so I'm pretty much.
So you are the online rogue agent.
Yeah.
Come in. Who is this guy? I've never seen him before. Smashing me down with vehicles and dwarves. What is my life? Oh my god. I'm a Phoenix player. Help me.
I'm always hoping and appreciating comments on my mock sheet list. I always hope for someone that is up for a discussion for any dwarves, any vehicles. I'm happy to get some people on the dwarf train and help me put more effort in this deck and maybe fix some issues, try out some new cards. And
Brilliant.
if you want to chat about with me, try the comment section from Moxfield. I'm really happy to get on some questions or discuss with you any options for this deck. And
fair enough.
Brilliant. Yeah. Well, Henrik, thank you so much for coming on. Also, thank to Marco for introducing us, because I think this has been a really interesting pod, really interesting deck. Luis, have you got anything further to add before we close out?
Just I'll make sure to keep you updated on Marco's list, because I need you to keep beating him up. It's really it's my every time that he loses to you, he sends me a message. Oh, Luis, I've lost to Henrik again. The dwarves are getting me. It's fantastic. I love it. And like Henrik was saying, if you are also into dwarves and cars, send him a message. He'll love to chat with you about it. It's going to be a great time. And thank you very much, everybody. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Take it away, Josh.
Yep. Like, comment, and subscribe. Tell us anything, any sort of spicy decks you've been working on. Tell us what you think of this deck. Maybe start a conversation in the comments below. What they could include, any new cards coming up. What do you think of the Convoke idea? Tapping your dwarves, giving them hexproof, etc. Let us know. Give us a like as well and a subscribe, because the subscribe really does help us. We know this is a passion project for us, and we want to give as much free content out, just because we love to do it. So a subscribe really does help us for the price of literally nothing. So thank you, lads, for coming on, and I'll see you next time on Battle Chads. Peace.
Take care.